and they say that the future of the auto industry in Ontario is at stake. Jacob Barker has more on the announcement and what it means for Windsor.
Unifor's decision of the company to establish the pattern in 2020 contract negotiations will be the Ford Motor Company.
All of the local union chapters were listening closely to their leaders' words this morning at today's announcement. Choosing Ford means that the priorities of workers at that company's facilities will be ironed out first and foremost.
So the biggest obstacle for us today, I will argue, was Ford in Oakville based on the end of production of the Ford Edge. But I will also argue that based on our conversations, it also creates the biggest opportunity.
While the union's focus is on Oakville, this comes as welcome news for the union representing the 1,600 workers at Ford's engine plant in Windsor. Securing new products, new vehicles to be built here is an issue when it comes to all three of the automakers in Ontario. As far as what Ford may have to offer on that front remains to be seen.
We're absolutely going to be going after them on that. But as of right now, they have not shown us a thing.
Fiat Chrysler workers at the Windsor plant are looking for a new product as well. The assembly plant in Windsor lost an entire shift earlier this year, affecting the jobs of about 1,500 workers. The union disappointed they weren't tapped to lead negotiations.
We want to lead, we want to control our own destiny, but now FCA has to understand that they're going to be following patterns, so they better be ready.
While it may be a difficult pill for the workers at FCA to swallow, getting Oakville up and running may help the cause when it comes to bringing a new product to Windsor.
He's not in jeopardy of losing a plant in Windsor. What he's trying to do is fill a shift. And I think if you get Oakville a product that will fill at least 2 shifts there, it might make it easier to get something in Windsor.
Even though FCA will be following in negotiations this time around, a worker we spoke with says she's putting her trust in the process.
I have total faith in the bargaining committee from the local level right up to the top. And seriously, I just want to see us all settled with a good product so that we can get about our business.
Well, in a written statement today, the Ford Motor Company said that it is important to maintain jobs in Canada given the uncertainty in global economics, and that it looks forward to reaching a collective agreement that will allow it to remain, quote, operationally competitive amidst intense global competition. Jacob Barker, CBC News, Windsor.
Privacy, community trust, and equity. Experts say all of those things are concerns after the Windsor police accessed a COVID-19 database. The province allowed it, but then revoked access amid a legal challenge. And the CBC's Jason Vio joins us live to explain all this. Jason, can we start with the database? How often did Windsor police use this, and what is it?
Well, it contains the names, the addresses, dates of birth for anyone who tested positive for COVID-19. The province gave police forces access to that database back in April and then revoked police access to that same database on July 20th. But take a look at this. So in that time frame, the Windsor Police Service accessed the COVID-19 database 1,841 times. Across Ontario, Windsor Police ranks 10th from the top, but nowhere near Durham Regional Police with more than 24,000 searches, or Thunder Bay Police with nearly 15,000. At the same time, though, some police forces, including Toronto, didn't access the COVID-19 database at all. Now, there are a few reasons why experts say this matters and is causing some concerns. One, they say it's a way for communities that are already being over-policed to be over-policed yet again, especially those who already have distrust with police. And we know from some of the data that's been made available publicly that COVID-19 disproportionately affects racialized, marginalized, and those in low-income communities. That data isn't available in Windsor, Essex, but to give you some perspective, in Toronto, Black people and other people of color make up 83% of the COVID-19 cases there, while only making up half of that city's population.
Not only are they over-policed, they're also disproportionately represented in our criminal justice system. So now you're just handing over one more gift-wrapped reason to the police, and in the name of protecting first responders. And there is a history of distrust between racialized communities and the police.
Now, Jason, what's the Windsor Police Service saying about why it accessed this database more than 1,800 times?
Well, they declined our request for an interview, but sent us an emailed statement instead, saying in part, information in the portal was only accessed to assist in communicating COVID-19 status information to first responders strictly for the purpose of supporting Windsor Police Service personnel in making informed decisions about whether to take additional precautions to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Now, in a subsequent email, when we asked them further questions about this, Windsor Police says that only authorized staff in the 911 communications department had access to this, that they were following regulations and recommendations enlisted by the province, and that all of the data that they accessed from this provincial database has since been purged.
Now, Jason, what do the legal and privacy experts say about this?
Well, the Canadian Civil Liberties Association, which was just one of the groups that challenged police access to this initially, was asking all police forces that did access this database to delete the information from their system so it's no longer accessible. So they say they're happy that the Windsor Police Service says they've done just that. Now, I also spoke with a University of Windsor law professor who specializes in privacy and data collection, and she says on the surface, the Windsor Police explanation as to why they access the database seems reasonable, but it's a bit more of a complex issue, and she says it falls into a gray area.
Those are the communities where governments and police forces should really be focused on building trust, not on undermining it. And I think from my lens on this, like this use of the information would threaten to undermine trust where it's most needed.
Now, for Kristen Thomason, she also likens this issue to conversations we've had here in Windsor, Essex, and across the province about the Clearview AI facial recognition software, which we know Windsor Police and others have used, as well as the doorbell camera conversation where some wanted police to have access to that remotely if the residents agreed to it. So she says this potentially privacy invasive conduct is being justified without fully examining how it may negatively impact the community.
Thanks, Jason. The CBC's Jason Vio live tonight. And although Windsor Police accessed the COVID database more than 1,800 times, other police services in our region were also on that list. Let's take a quick look here. The Chatham-Kent Police Service used the database 108 times. Sarnia Police did 57 searches, and the LaSalle Police Service used it 29 times. Now, you can read more on Jason's full story online. If you just go to our website, you can see it there, cbc.ca/Windsor. Not exactly the long weekend weather that many may have hoped for. The high winds created high waves, making a rough weekend on the Great Lakes. And those conditions kept Kingsville's fire department busy on Monday. They were called to rescue 3 boaters. The fire department soon found themselves trying to rescue some of their own members. This is a calm Lake Erie compared to the conditions 24 hours ago.
It was extremely heavy wind, high surf, and very erratic surf going on, as well as a rainstorm going on at the same time.
At 4 p.m., a Mayday call concerning this capsized boat. 3 Americans, all wearing life jackets, sent overboard into the water.
Ironically, we had just trained last week, and we train for all types of weather, all types of condition, from ice to heavy water. And we're able to spring into action when it's required.
Joined by paramedics, police, and the United States Coast Guard, Kingsville's firefighters hit the water in a life-saving mission that quickly turned into a rescue of their own members.
We did have one of our boats that capsized with a high surf, and at that point in time, it really gets you that now our crew needs assistance as well. It's probably one of the worst days in a chief's life to hear that call out.
With 2 firefighters clinging to an overturned boat, trying to rescue 3 civilians already in the water, another call comes in.
Right in the middle of this, we actually had a house hit with lightning in my north area that required us to call our other station to look after that.
Out on Lake Erie under intense pressure in terrible weather, the boaters pulled from the water.
We got one person up that when we arrived was able to get up the rocks, and we were able to get them out of the water. The second person was found down by where the ferry dock.
Clinging to the broken boat that they hoped to use to rescue the others, both firefighters were pulled to shore after an hour in water. They were sent to hospital, released, recovering from mild hypothermia. The chief, proud of the team.
We're one component of the team. We bring medical in on it. We bring OPP to assist, Coast Guard, U.S. Coast Guard. We all work as a team for a final mission, and it worked really well.
And with summer winding down, a reminder that weather on the Great Lakes can turn fairly quickly, and a plea for people in pleasure crafts to be patient and hit the water when the weather cooperates.
These guys were great. They had their PFDs on. So many times we come across where they don't have their PFDs on. Make sure that you've got all the right equipment and that you've really checked to make sure it's proper for you to go out.
A Windsor woman with advanced cancer has a dying wish. Diane Costello wants to see her parents one more time, but because of COVID-19 restrictions on the border, it's proved impossible so far. Anyone crossing the border is required to be self-isolating for 14 days, but Diane's parents have their own health issues, which prevent them from quarantining without medical treatment. Diane and her daughter have been pleading with the government to make an exception, but so far, no luck.
This will be the last time I ever see them. And that's what hospice is all about. Like, you know, they make me comfortable, and they're just making me comfortable right now until the end. And I don't know when that's going to be. Nobody knows when that's going to be, you know. It could be tomorrow. It could be, you know, 3 days from today. I just want to see them because they brought me into the world, and I just want them. I just want to see them, even if it's just for an hour, you know. I mean, I miss them. I haven't seen them in, how long has it been, Shayla? It's been about 6 months since I've seen them.
It's heartbreaking. I can't imagine, like, it's not just us who's in this situation, and like my mom said, it's her wish, like, it's her parents. We used to see them every single weekend, and it's been 6 months. Like, it's so hard just to be here alone when all her family's in the States. It's heartbreaking to me and to my family. We've been trying, and we're not going to give up. We're going to keep reaching out, and you know, it's very sad. It's very sad.
And I just want to see my parents. That's all I want. Even just a 5-minute visit. I don't care who helps us with it, Democrat, Republican. I don't care who helps us. I just want somebody to help us so I can see them again. It's very hard.
Now, CBC did receive a statement from the government on Diane's situation. It reads in part that this order requires anyone entering Canada, unless exempt, to isolate for 14 days if they have symptoms of COVID-19, or to quarantine themselves for 14 days if they are asymptomatic, in order to limit the introduction and spread of COVID-19, ending with the words, "There are currently no exemptions for compassionate reasons." Keeping people apart, whether through physical distancing or quarantine, has been a familiar feature of the pandemic. But here's one with a happier ending. Natalie Nanowski brings us the story of a Windsor couple's reunion that was many months in the making.
Hi, hubby. Hi. Oh my God, I love you. Oh.
A tight embrace after months apart. Kevin and Kira Norris have been on opposite sides of the world since January.
To be alone. 9 months, actually. 9 months, you know, we are apart. Oh, it's so hard.
Good thing to have true love.
The Windsor area couple does everything together, including traveling to China every year to buy products for their business. This time, Kira went first. Then the pandemic hit, and Kevin couldn't join her. Weeks passed, and Kira couldn't come home.
So when her flight was due back, that's when it got canceled, and every 3 weeks they rebooked it. And then it was canceled again, so 7 times it was totally canceled till now. Finally.
Yeah.
It was an emotional 9 months. Usually, they'd spend their days hiking together. Those dates were replaced with frequent video calls and phone chats.
Oh, every day.
Every day.
Oh, yeah, because keep that
day.
connection strong.
You know.
While Kevin was at home in Ontario, Kira was stuck in a city outside of Beijing, where she spent the peak of the pandemic with her parents.
You have to wear the mask when you go to those public places. You know, public place, a lot of people there.
Every few weeks, she'd pack her bags and head to the airport, hoping to catch a flight back to Canada. After all the letdowns, they weren't sure she'd make it to Toronto.
I just got so pumped up because the last 2 weeks it didn't get canceled. I'm thinking, okay, finally. Then it got down to a week, and I'm like, okay, it's got to be for sure.
When she finally walked through the airport, it was a relief. Now they'll spend the next 2 weeks quarantining together. And for them, that sounds like bliss. Natalie Nanowski, CBC News, Toronto.
Beautiful story there. Students in Windsor, Essex will be going back to school later this week, and that's left parents wondering what they should do to keep their children safe. The CBC's Sanjay Maru spoke with 2 health experts to try and get some answers.
There is a lot of anxiety out there among parents, with many sending their kids back to school. We're sure you have questions, and these individuals have some answers. When my child heads to school, how many masks should they take with them?
Yeah, so at least they should have a backup mask. In other words, a lot of times those temporary ones, basically the elastic band breaks off or you can tear it easily. So for those ones, I usually tell people carry an extra couple of them. So let's say they wear one and they carry 2 in a Ziploc bag.
How safe is it for students to ride the bus?
I right now have no concerns. There are a couple of things, as I think that once they're on the bus, they should sit quietly in one spot. And remembering, of course, the role of the mask is when we can't physical distance it. So the mask is probably the most important in a place like a bus where you have a slightly closer contact.
Where should my child put their mask when they take it off during lunch or recess?
So we have, at the hospital, what we use are actually Tupperware containers, so you can just lay your mask in it. Another option is actually just an open paper bag or a plastic bag. Some people have little hooks that they can clip them to, but again, if you're going to do that, you want to make sure it's something very secure so it doesn't actually drop on the ground.
The first day back to school fast approaching, and amidst all this information, there is still a big question mark looming over students as they get ready to walk into a year, or rather a classroom like no other. Sanjay Maru, CBC News, Windsor.
Just some of the questions that we were asked, and we're going to have more tomorrow. You can see the full video on our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. Another look outside of the day. It's been difficult to see the tops of those beautiful towers across the river in Detroit. The fog sort of flowing over, and now the darkness kind of creeps in. That unofficial end of summer seems to be, well, kind of staying the way that we wouldn't want to see. We want a little bit more blast of heat, and I wonder if Colette Kennedy can give that to us. She is up next with the forecast. Joining us now for a live look at the weather is Colette Kennedy. Colette, a wicked day yesterday, and then today, I don't think you needed an alarm clock if you were in the right part of Windsor, Essex. The thunder was booming, the lightning was striking. A lot of action in this kind of weather pattern we've got going on.
I know, so incredible. After yesterday, you'd think, oh, Mother Nature can't. Oh, we know that it can bring it back again. I mean, not quite as incredible as yesterday. Within an hour, there were a couple thousand lightning strikes. I mean, 1,000 within 15 minutes. And then, yes, we get a repeat of some of those, not quite as many through earlier this morning. But here's a look at some of the temperatures and how they stack up. Our average high around 24 for this time of year. And, you know, we were not quite there. We know that. A little bit on the cool side. Closer, though, with those numbers for the overnight lows. And just to have, well, and in terms of our high, by the way, that coming closer to midnight because it was cool, cooler through the day today. And that's where we're sitting right now with those current temperatures there, just kind of lingering there in the mid to upper teens. Our winds coming from the north. And really, it's that storm track, kind of the jet stream, just sort of pulling in just to the north of us and bringing in kind of system after system. It does mean some of, not all, as we know, the heavier rains kind of pulling to the north of us. We get some of the action here with some of the thunderstorm activity. A few cells just to the south and west of us and into Michigan. And then this is what I mean by the storm track of the jet stream bringing some of the heavier rains as well along that frontal boundary that are coming in across Lake Michigan. So again, tonight as we go into the evening hours, the risk of some scattered showers and thunderstorms still into the forecast and through the overnight. Now, I do see improvement into the forecast for tomorrow, but it is interesting because some of the model blends and the U.S. models still want to keep us into the cloud cover throughout the day tomorrow. I'm leaning towards the Canadian model, and it does want to see us clearing out and getting into some sunshine into the afternoon. So seeing some clearing and taking it further to the north for us. So this is into the morning hours, still some wet conditions possible, although somewhat scattered in nature. And then as we get into the afternoon, see how it's pulling it further towards the north and breaking us out of some of that cloud cover. So I'm going with that, which also pulls our temperatures up a little bit, but also bringing our humidex back into the low 30s for tomorrow. So that's what it's looking like into Wednesday, and then into Thursday, a bit of a mix that we'll be seeing. Overnight temperatures kind of the mid-teens. That's not that interesting. This is what will be interesting for tomorrow. I hope I'm standing here tomorrow evening and right about this in terms of what I'm seeing, but still some wet conditions possible for tomorrow morning. Now, Thursday, 21 with that mix. Same thing into Friday, and then looking like getting closer to seasonal crisp or even a little above as we go towards next weekend.
Jam-packed, full of the details. Love when you break it down like this. Thanks, Colette.
Doing my best. Thank you, Chris.
Who needs superheroes when you have this kid here? He's writing a comic book to raise money for a cause most of us can get behind. We'll hear from him coming up next.